Hi, it's Laura at Aquamarine18. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. Welcome or welcome back. I'm here with a unboxing and first impressions video of a new deck today. I got some deck mail that I thought that I would share with you. You'll know from the title of this video that this is the Transient Light Tarot. It's a deck by Ari Wisner that I backed on Kickstarter earlier on this year. So I've blacked out the addresses on the package and cut through the tape, but I haven't had a look yet, so I thought that I would share the first impressions with you all. Before I open the package, I wanted to mention a couple of things about the deck in terms of what attracted me to it and why I backed it, as well as just mention that I will link below the Kickstarter page so you can see the campaign, but also Ari's Etsy shop, because the deck is now available there in the Etsy shop. So if you missed the Kickstarter but you like the looks of this deck, it is available there. So on the Kickstarter, Ari mentions, in terms of the name of the deck, the Transient Light Tarot, that the deck is inspired by the beauty of transience. Although temporary, our being can facilitate something more universally connected and priceless. Whether change is joyful or painful, it is followed by a new beginning where we can find beauty and opportunity to heal and grow. So I like that theme of transience a lot. Some other things that really stood out to me about this Kickstarter were the focus on environmental friendliness. So this deck is printed on recycled stock. It is also plastic free, like even the the varnish or the coating on the cards is plastic free, which is great environmentally speaking. And also the cards are inclusive. So the Kickstarter campaign Ari talked about in their Kickstarter campaign rather, wanting to rename some of the cards to shift away from binary understandings of gender, for example, and also shift away from using depictions of human bodies and particular shapes of human bodies as representative of particular concepts. And I really liked the way that Ari talked about that, and wanting the deck to feel inclusive and be a welcoming deck for everyone. So that certainly was a reason that I was drawn to the deck. I also really like, as we'll see, that the deck has a limited color palette. Folks who watch my channel know that I enjoy black and white decks, for example. So the aesthetic of this deck, of course, appealed to me as well. And I will mention, as I'm unboxing here, that the campaign went really, really well. I know that Ari is not a first-time deck creator and has created one deck previously, which is also in the Etsy shop. But the estimated date for fulfillment for this was June of this year. And I know that Ari is based in the UK and I'm based in Canada, and I just received my deck and it's very, very early in July. So very, very close to the estimated timelines, even with, everything going on in the world right now and shipping times, as we all know, being delayed. And there was really good consistent communication throughout the campaign. So I was happy to have backed it. I don't remember if there was any, a lot of extras or anything with this. I backed just for the tier with the deck, like the basic deck tier. I know there was one tier where you could get both of Ari's decks. I'm not sure what else was there or what other goodies will be in the Etsy shop going forward. So the deck has come well packaged in this recyclable packing material, which is great. Try to recycle as much as I can, as well as compost and all that good stuff. So it's great when the box isn't full of plastic, which I didn't expect it to be, given that the cardstock and everything is plastic free. So that's good. Wrapped in paper. There were a couple of upgrades made throughout the campaign in terms of the guidebook contents, as well as I think the cardstock or box might have been upgraded with the backing. So here there's a sticker of an eye from the deck. We know that I don't like too many eyes, but one is good. I'm going to try to save it. I always try to save the tissue paper if I can and use it for something else. And I will say, this one is wrapped in tissue paper without a bunch of tape on it, so I actually can feasibly use this white tissue paper again, which is great. So easy. Okay, I can already tell that this is fantastic. The box even, like, it's hard to say that a box, you know, feels sustainably made, but it does. It doesn't feel, you know, plasticated at all. So it's the Transient Light Tarot by Ari Wisner. I really hope it's Wisner, not Wisner, and I'm not saying it wrong, but by Ari. And it is 81 cards and a guidebook with poetry by Fausta Joly. And the back of the box here just reads that this tarot deck is inspired by the beauty of transience. The briefness of life is what makes it valuable and worth chasing. Although temporary, our being can facilitate something more universally connected and priceless. Whether change is joyful or painful, it is followed by a new beginning where we can find beauty and opportunity to heal and grow. So similar to what I read from the campaign there. And then it just has a few cards on the back and says first edition there at the bottom. And it has Ari's initials right here on the box. That is very special for first edition, I think. Normally, I would raise the issue that there are no finger holes here to lift off the box, but it does lift off very nicely and easily, which is great. The box is nice and sturdy, also great. Okay, so I have a note here from Ari, the creator of the deck, which notes that you're the owner of the first edition Transient Light Tarot deck. I hope it will bring joy, comfort, and inspiration for years to come. And then there's just some information here on Ari, as well as Fausta, the poet who wrote some of the guidebooks, contact information, and an email address to provide some feedback to Ari, which is really, really nice, I think, to say that feedback, whether positive or critical, is welcome. That's a great thing, I think. And then just a mention of the Instagram handle of Transient Light Deck as something that you can tag to share your pictures of the deck with. So it comes with a card with my name on it. I got number 260 out of 1,000. That's pretty cool. And again, with Ari's initials there. And the extra card that I got is the Ace of Coins. Really nice. Okay, so 8 minutes in and we're getting to the deck. My unboxings usually go like this. So the box inside is plain white. I will just put it over there. On the top comes with the guidebook, which is quite thick for a deck guidebook. You can see here. And it just has Ari and Fausta's names here. And the back notes that the first edition of Transient Light Tarot was made possible by the kind backing of 593 supporters on Kickstarter. This deck is dedicated to you. Thank you. And then it includes Ari's Etsy shop there and notes printed in the UK. This guidebook we can take a look at first. I was quite excited by the guidebook in the Kickstarter campaign. So it starts here with a quote: "Flow within the spinning hourglass attached to the cosmic wheel of becoming." And then it has a table of contents here, which includes the 4 suits, which in this deck are wands, swords, vessels, and coins, as well as the major arcana. There's a section for spreads, and then there's a section about Ari and Fausta. So I'm not going to go through the entire guidebook, but we can have a peek maybe at one suit and then a little bit with the majors. So it starts with the wands, and it includes the keywords for wands are the realm of spirit, inspiration, insight, vision, purpose, destiny, and then element and zodiac signs associated. And then there is a poem at the beginning of the wands section. And I will mention here, of course, that the guidebook is full color. And so each card has a meaning, a couple of paragraphs. So this is an example of the Ace and Two of Wands for the minors, how much is included for each one. And that is the same for the court cards. Paragraph or so for each. They're not distinct reversal meanings here, or really keywords. It's a paragraph for each. And the court cards are renamed Apprentice, Champion, Keeper, and Crown. And that information and all the major renames is also listed on the Kickstarter. So there's a poem for each suit. And then for the majors, there is a poem for each major arcana here, a few keywords, and then a paragraph. So we can see here the poem is on the black side of the book, and then on the white side of the book we have the paragraph of meanings, a couple of keywords here. So the magician is equipped, able, resourceful, and talented. The pages are numbered, which I really appreciate. It seems like a tiny thing, but when you have a table of contents, it's nice. There's a representation of the card there for each one. So a good amount of information to fit in a book this size. There are 3 bonus cards in the deck, past, present, and future. So those are just mentioned here as a way of working with them to represent a past, present, and future spread. There is Ari's spread for monthly check-ins or new and full moon. I'm not going to share all of the contents in their details, but to give an idea, there's Ari's spread, which is an 8 to 9 card. There's Fausta's Solstice Healing Spread, which is a 16 card spread for a winter or summer solstice. I'm looking forward to these. These look good. And then there is about Ari and about Fausta just at the end of the guidebook. So that's really good. And this guidebook feels like bound well. It feels like it's going to hold up nicely. I love that it fits inside the box. You know, it just makes carrying things so much easier. And I always find that I use guidebooks more when they are like this. Unless it's a big book that's like bought separately or something. I like when they fit the same size as the cards. On to the cards themselves. The deck is quite thick. I am not sure what the GSM of these are, but I know that it is on the Kickstarter, so if you want to check, it's there. They are standard tarot size. They're sturdy, which I love. Here's the back. So they're reversible. I love the kind of resonance of this kind of hourglass image with the theme of transience and a kind of starry background. Really nice. I will mention as well, since I mentioned the plastic-free stock, the cards do not come wrapped in plastic. They do not come in a plastic band. They are just inside the box as is. This is a really thick deck. So just as a comparison, I have here from filming another video. This is the Page of Cats. So this is the cardstock of make playing cards, which I really like. But you can see how thick it is, how thick this deck is. Really thick stock, sturdy. It is not glossy. It is... It's not rose petal either. It's definitely matte. It has a tiny bit of a sheen, almost like something like a US Games card would have. So they slide. You know, they slide well. They don't clump, which is good. Nice and slippery. They're really sturdy. I am not a riffle shuffler, but if I was, I would, I might struggle a little bit. I riffle shuffle playing cards, but not tarot. Okay. 16 minutes. Here we go with the first look walkthrough. So there are quite a couple of eyes in here, including on the Fool. So there's kind of a little nod to a sense of Smith-Waite, I guess, insofar as there's a person perhaps falling here, but also feels really like its own depiction. And I read that this color palette was inspired by Ari drawing on, I think, like craft paper, which is a recycled, you know, like the brown paper. I really like this brown and navy with a little bit of green. I think that that is a really great color palette that will look amazing with a lot of different oracle decks, things like that. The Magician. So for Major Arcana 2, we have the Revealer. I love that. The Nurturer. It's Major Arcana 3. So we get the stars that are often in the crown of an empress, but we have a pearl being formed. The Defender for card 4. I like the solidity of this one and the mountains there. So for the Hierophant, we have the Proclaimer. I think that that's a really good name for the Hierophant. Maybe one of the better ones that I've seen in terms of renamed majors, because I feel like the Hierophant is a card that, or a figure that that shares knowledge, that teaches, that carries tradition, but carries it forward by sharing it. So that feels like a really good rename to me. The Lovers. It's a locket. Chariot. It's a very different Chariot depiction. Open mouth is not what I think of when I think of the Chariot, so I'm keen to see what the guidebook says about this one. Strength has a beautiful lion, and I love that the lion is not being manipulated by a human. So strength is 8 in this deck, worth mentioning. The Hermit. It's beautiful. The shadow there is amazing. The Wheel. I love the nod to fortune with the dice. As someone who works with dice, I think that that is brilliant. With the elemental symbols there. The Wheel is often not a major that I love. this I love. That is perfect to me. You can think of maybe the thread of fate. Oh, perfect. Perfect. I am so happy with that. I didn't look at all of the cards ahead. Justice. Real sense of balance and symmetry in the Justice card. The Hanged One instead of the Hanged Man. I also really like that it is not a person hanging. But you get the sense of suspension from it without having that image, which I think is great. And so there is human representation in this deck, but so far it's hands and eyes and things. Death. I really like that. Really clear nod to the traditional pillars in the Moon card being in the Death card. Really like that. It's clean, it's simple. Temperance. The Devil. I really like this Devil a lot. It's very different symbolism, but it doesn't feel like heavily Christian symbolism. The snake is certainly there, but yeah, I really like that. The Tower. This tower reminds me of a fantasy series' book covers that I really like, so I am a fan of that. There are no people flying off the tower, but there is the lightning coming in there. And the tower is, of course, built on a rootless foundation there, which I think is interesting. Star. I really like the tattoos on the hands there. That's beautiful. My favorite major arcana card, the Moon, and I love it. Simple. And as folks know, I don't like when the Moon card feels negative because I don't read it that way. And this one does not feel negative at all. It feels very neutral, which I really like. The Sun. I will say when I was getting this deck, I know that disembodied eyes are not my favorite thing, but this I can think of in terms of illumination and clarity in ways that work for me. I like there's a little fossil of a shell down there in the dirt. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, that's really cool. Little details. Judgment. I really like this take on Judgment. Keeps some of the traditional symbolism without the dead people. Very effective. And the World. With the zodiac symbols rather than the animals, which I also think makes a lot of sense. Okay. I love this so far. Love it, love it. Now, the Minors, which are slightly more on the pippish side of things, but not completely so. Not Marseille, certainly, but on the pip side of things, which I really like. The Ace of Wands. And here the wands are bundles of sticks in this deck. Just see, does the guidebook say anything about this, I wonder? I really like that. I'm just wondering if there's a reason to go that route. Oh, the ace talks about incense. So incense as, you know, awakening the senses. That's cool. I like that a lot. Okay, so they have titles on the bottom. 2 wands. 3 wands. Really pretty. 4 wands. So you can see it's not really a pip deck in that it has this very clear suggestion of the Smith-Waite symbolism here, but without the people. 5 wands certainly has a kind of potentially conflictual sense to it there. 6 wands. I really like pip decks, but I really like the balance here between, pip-ish. Is pip-ish. I really like that kind of style of minor arcana a lot. 7. 8. 9. And 10. So then the courts again are renamed Apprentice. This is like a telescope. That's a cool choice. I'm going to set these aside so that I can compare them to the other court cards as well. The Champion of Wands. Keeper. I like the sunflower, of course. And the Crown of Wands. Okay. Picking up the pace slightly because I could just say something about every card for sure. Ace of Wands, or Ace of Swords, excuse me. There's an eye there. In all of the hilts have an eye. 2. Like that. Feels very 2 of Swords to me. 2 directions. 3 of Swords. That's a tough one. For sure. But it's not overly gory or anything, which I appreciate. 4. There's quite a lot of butterflies in the swords so far. 5. 6. 6 of Swords is my favorite minor arcana. This is an interesting take on it. It's a bit, in terms of the meaning of this 6 of Swords, it's a bit more, how do I want to say? Like often in the 6 of Swords you have the boat going off into the distance, whereas here you have more of a bridge, so the, like the end feels more in sight in this 6 of Swords. But definitely get a sense of a transitional time, for sure. 7. I like that checkerboard there. 8. 9. I like this 9 of Swords. It feels like it has the kind of ominous sense of something like a Smith-Waite 9 of Swords, but it also reads more neutrally, which I do like a lot. Same with the 10 of Swords. We have swords breaking here. So there is that sense of finality, but without the really explicit imagery of the backstab, because the kind of finality of a 10 could be a great thing, right? It could be a great thing that these swords are being broken here, or not, depending on the reading context. Okay, so for the Apprentice of Wands, we had a telescope. And for the Apprentice of Swords, we have books here. I don't like seeing the books having this... I don't like seeing the books being damaged like that. But in terms of kind of intellectual explorations as being represented by the swords, I like the book imagery. But hopefully those books can be repaired. So the Champion of Swords, both the champions so far have bird imagery in them. Really pretty. And the Keepers have keys. And the Crown, which replaces a king, has, of course, a crown. As well as, again, so far they have the pendants that are depicted in the Magician, which is cool as well. I like that a lot. The suit of vessels for the water suit has different kinds of vessels here. That's a really good image for a kind of beginning of a connection that an Ace of Cups might be. Two of vessels. Three. Five of Vessels has broken eggs. That's a good take on that card, I think. I really just like how creatively the Pip-ish style of the minors is done. Like the majors I like, but the minors I really like in this deck so far. The Seven of Vessels. I like how there's cards in the bottom one. And the cards look like they're the Wheel, maybe the Moon or Death, and an Ace of Cups. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see these, but you can make out the images on those cards a little bit. Nine of Vessels. You get the sense of, perhaps the so-called wish card without the drunk bartender, which is fun. Oh, that's beautiful. Apprentice of Vessels. Champion has a backpack, and again a bird in all the champion cards. Keeper and crown. I like that. Ace of Coins. Two. Four. This is an interesting one with the 4 coins in the bag, and then there's other coins around it. It's interesting to think about. Pretty. So simple, but so effective, these minors. beautiful. I love seed imagery in the Pentacles suit, so I like that apprentice very much. I love this deck. I can already tell that this deck is going to read wonderfully. So there are 3 extra cards, which I mentioned, which are past, present, and future. Past. It's an interesting one. The digging imagery. And the DNA helix for past. That gives a kind of ancestral sense of past, which I like. Present. Hourglass, things currently happening. Growth. And future. I like, as a sci-fi person, I like the planets in the future card. And I'm not going to be able to, I don't think, hold up all 3 very well at once, but these do, from past, present to future, line up. So I know that there's some suggested ways of using these in the guidebook, but you could even just lay them out and do a past, present, future reading by putting a card, drawing a card or 2 for each, but using these as kind of to label the spread positions. Lots of uses for those. I would not personally shuffle them in, though you certainly could. Love it. I will say something I didn't mention while I was going through these. I'll have to look and see where all this happens, but I like how, just looking at the Fool card now again as I've turned my deck over, you can see how the border is crossed by the strings holding up the key there. I like when I like a border card or borderless card equally as well. I'm not strongly partial to one or the other. I like when the borders are incorporated into the artwork, though, and that really feels like that to me. The Fool card has a bit of a different feel with the artwork, of the title of the Fool inside, whereas these other majors have them on the outside of the borders. So you could think about how there's a kind of infinite possibility to the Fool, right? As a 0 card that stands outside of the major arcana structure in a lot of ways. So that's interesting. I feel like there's so many just little touches in here that I'm looking forward to exploring. So that is the Transient Light Tarot deck by Ari Wisner. Again, I'll link below where you can check out the Kickstarter, but also the Etsy shop, since the deck is available. I was so excited to get this in the mail. I didn't even know that it had been sent because I didn't get a tracking number. I knew that some decks had been sent because Ari had been updating on Kickstarter and had posted that, that they had been starting to send the decks out. But I didn't know that I would get mine so quickly, particularly as an international backer. So I'm thrilled to have it, right on time in terms of the estimated fulfillment of the campaign, but also early in terms of what I expected. So that's fantastic. Really looking forward to working with this deck. So thank you so much for watching my very enthusiastic first impressions for the Transient Light Tarot. Did you back this deck? Do you have this deck? Share your thoughts in the comments if you'd like, as always. And I will see you again soon. Have a good one.